Patrick, thank you so much for coming on the show. Always a pleasure to see you. You've got a big event coming up. You've got the PGA Tour coming back to the state of Utah for the first time in over 6 decades.
Yep, we do.
You're responsible for that. How did all of that happen?
Well, we started off with an Epson tour, and so we got 2 years of Epson tour, and I told the LPGA that, you know, after the second year, I wanted to pull the Epson tour down to Black Desert, and they said they couldn't do that because they'd have a conflict with the Copper Rock tournament. And I said, well, then just make it a full LPGA. And they started laughing. I was like, I don't understand what's so funny. And so, long story short, we got a LPGA tour, and then we were like, well, let's call the PGA Tour. And so we called them, and they kind of laughed and said, we don't hand out PGA Tours.
Sure.
And so I just said, look, I'm not asking you for a PGA tournament. I'm demanding that you come look and see what we're doing, because it's not happening like this anywhere in the world on your tour. And so they agreed to come out and look at it. And after 7 hours of walking the course, and the grass hadn't actually grown in the whole way, they said, you know, Patrick, there's spectacular golf courses on the PGA Tour, and there's epic holes, but nothing is going to pop on national television like Black Desert. And they said, so you've got a tour.
That's so cool. So is it every year now?
It's every year. Yeah, both the men and the women every year. We're one of only 3 courses in the nation that have both.
Oh, my gosh. So women come first, right?
Nope. The men are here in October.
Okay, so the men are in October.
And the women are next May.
And what's the name of the championship?
Black Desert Championship.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
So what is that process like, working with the PGA, working with a league like that, that must have been fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, it really was fascinating. And those guys are really cool guys. And they came out, they're very attentive. They call all the time, saying if there's anything that we need. We're responsible to put on the tournament, you know, pretty much all of it. But we immediately recognized that we've never done this before, and it's kind of a big deal. So we hired the guys that do the Farmers Insurance Open, and they've done that for the last 12 years. And now they're up at Black Desert for the last several months and through the tournament, and they're helping get everything ready to go.
And it's going to be on national TV, right?
It'll be on international and, of course, national television, yes.
That's so crazy. So let's back up a second. How did you get into all of this? I know you've done real estate for a number of years. Tell us about your background and how you got to where you are now.
I actually started selling real estate kind of by accident when I was like 18 years old. And I was, I don't know why, but I was really good at it. And somebody made me an offer to make me a partner in a resort development when I was 19 years old.
Whoa. And
I sold that out really quickly. And then he said, can we do a couple more of these? And we did. And after that, I just started doing it myself. But then, then Black Desert happened, and it was the biggest, most complicated project that I've ever laid eyes on. And I'm very fortunate to have been able to partner with Reef Capital Partners and became a partner of Reef.
Yeah.
And that was a blessing, because looking back on it, there's no chance, not a single chance I could have pulled that off by myself. There is no chance.
So tell us about Reef. How long have they been around?
I think Reef's been around about 16 years. Okay. You know, they were predominantly a lender, you know, and up until maybe 4 years ago or so. And now, you know, collectively, we've become really more of a resort developer, legacy projects. We're not only building Black Desert, which is soon becoming the largest resort in the state of Utah, and actually bigger than all the resorts in Nevada other than 2. So it's a good sized resort. But we're also rebuilding the Cocoa Palms Resort in Kauai. And,
really?
Yeah. And then we're doing the Marcella project that a lot of people have heard of, Tiger Woods and King and Collins and Ski In, Ski Out and Tiger. You know what I mean? Yeah. It doesn't get much better than that. And we've got a project out in Virginia, south of D.C. on Lake Anna, and we're doing all of that at once. So it's a lift.
Yeah, this is crazy. What is it about Utah that's so special to you?
Oh, wow. I've been here 20 years, I've developed properties in 17 states, and I have never, ever seen a state that feels like a town. It is so connected. It is so community driven. Anytime Black Desert needs anything, I feel like everybody shows up. Anytime they need something, we show up. And from the governor to our residents of Ivans, it's like just one tight knit group that locks arms and makes things happen.
Yeah. It is kind of crazy how easy it is to connect with each other here in the state, right? I do think that's probably pretty rare.
It is from what I've seen in other places. It's like every other state I've ever done business in, everyone's a competitor. And here I feel like there may be some people that consider themselves competitors, but for the most part, everybody believes in all ships rise.
Yeah. Yeah. That is a very unique thing to Utah, it seems like. I like this idea of the state as like a town.
Mm-hmm.
We should call ourselves the town.
Right.
That's great. I love that. How do you think about leadership and building relationships and, like, I mean, you were being very modest there about how you got, like, this takes a lot of work to get to where you are today. How have you, like, what are some of your routines, habits, values, things that you live by?
Well, people have asked, kind of like, what's the secret to be able to have that, this type of success? And I can tell you where it starts. It starts with caring about everybody. And it's interesting that everybody thinks they care about everybody, but I'm talking about every single day showing up, every single day, finding out what other people's needs are. I'm so glad I popped into Utah Tech one day and asked President Williams at the time, and I said, Biff, what do you need? And he said, our golf teams don't have a home. We have nowhere to practice. We have nowhere to play. I was like, that's terrible. So we provided those practice facilities, and that's their new home course. And I mean, you've got to show up, knock on the door, and say, what are your goals and dreams? And you find yours along the way.
Yeah, that's so cool. So, what's it been like working down there in St. George with Utah Tech and just the whole community? That community is like, I think it's the fastest growing in the country.
It has been like 14 out of 16 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every time I go down there, there's like traffic. I'm like, what is going on down here?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like, there never used to be traffic down there when I was growing up.
Right.
Now there's traffic everywhere. Yeah. It's hard to get around.
Sometimes it's been great. I mean, I've never worked with municipalities that are as collaborative as Ivins and Santa Clara have been. We also have a piece of property in St. George, but that was in a conservation easement. So we're actually not working with St. George on Black Desert. But I mean, I can't say enough good things about how positive. I mean, it's not like Ivins is rolling over because they want this big resort and all the money. That's not what it is. They've seen us show up in 100 living rooms with the residents. They see the residents showing up for us. We don't get fought on anything because the residents are comfortable with us and they trust us.
Yeah.
And that makes the city's job way easier, to not have to fight the pitchforks. And so, but they genuinely are making good decisions, in my opinion, making good decisions. They're not saying yes to everything we're doing, but it's like a no, but let's find a way to make it a yes.
Yeah. So what does this thing look like when it's all done, this development?
Well, it's big, but it's big done responsibly. It will have, it'll be close to 4,000 keys, which the current largest offering in the current largest offering is Grand America with 750. So obviously, 5 times bigger.
That's so crazy.
We'll have over 20 restaurants on site, no chains. We have a water park that's bigger than any on the Las Vegas Strip. And that water park was done by engineered by Cloud H2O that does all the Atlantises. And the one charge we said, to make it fun, make it really fun. But at the same time, we want to show, we can prove that we are using less water in a water park than if we had just put quarter-acre lots on the same footprint. Yeah. And they were able to prove that. And to the satisfaction of the city and the state, so it's going to be a massive 600-acre entertainment complex, is what I call it.
So will you do like conventions down there and all of that? Yeah, we should bring Silicon Slopes down there.
You should bring Silicon Slopes down there. Yeah,
we should definitely do that.
Because you can do all the things. You can go to the water park and golf and go to 20 different restaurants, and we're gonna have music venues and our convention space is state of the art. We have people flying. We had the CEO of Sony from Tokyo fly in because they said, them and a company called Belden, I won't get into that, but they've both been in saying that we are leading the world at Black Desert on technology and how we're handling the in-room guest experience and around the resort, that there's nobody. Belden is in every single resort on the Las Vegas Strip. They said we are way out ahead of them. So our commitment to technology is also off the charts. Yeah.
Does the proximity of Las Vegas help or hurt?
I think right now it's neither.
Yeah.
I don't think Las Vegas sees St. George as like a viable vacation spot.
Isn't that interesting? Because it's only like an hour and a half away.
Yeah. I think if we had more golf and we could just promote golf to Las Vegas, then they would come up. But I don't know that. I think the only thing that really helps is there's been so many like Northern Utah companies that have been traveling past St. George, going to Las Vegas, and they're fatigued by not being able to keep the team together, by not. And I think now the reason we're getting over 1,000 inquiries already without even advertising our convention space is that those Northern Utah companies are just saying, hey, I'd really rather come to Southern Utah than all the way down to Las Vegas.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's no question. Why wouldn't you keep that business in Utah?
Right. Yeah.
What's it been like working with, other business leaders here in the state? I know you have a strong partnership with the Jazz and other kind of tech companies, and beyond that, what is that relationship like? What has that been like? Have they kind of wrapped their arms around you as well?
Yeah, I think it's we wrap our arms around each other.
Yeah.
I mean, these are truly meaningful partnerships. That I mentioned to John Bowers out here just a few minutes ago that we had our the Jazz Bear and Thurl Bailey and Darren Williams and Quincy Lewis all fly down on our plane, and we got 9 hours of content with them just goofing off out on the golf course. And there's some amazing commercials coming out that are going to be super funny. But also, like, here's a scoop. So this will be the first time any listeners or anything will. But on the 20th, I'm scooping the Jazz's press release, or not the Jazz, Smith Entertainment. But Black Desert is also on the 20th going to be announced as the first ever partner of the NHL team as well.
That's so cool. Oh my gosh. Yeah. What was your reaction to us getting an NHL team?
I thought it was awesome. I mean, the more the merrier for the state of Utah.
Yeah.
I just think it's a testimony to the commitment of the state and leadership, local leaders. Our state isn't populated enough to be, in traditional means. I think it's a testimony to the loyalty that Utahns have for Utah, that our population is like times 10 from a loyalty factor.
Yeah. Yeah. We rally around the state in a very interesting way.
Yeah.
Because, we probably shouldn't even have an NBA team. We're so small. But to have an NBA, NHL, and it looks like MLB soon, my word.
Yeah.
It's incredible. That's so cool. What does a typical day look like for you? I'm fascinated by that.
We have a fantastic team. Like I said, Reef is fantastic. We have fantastic construction managers, fantastic real estate sales managers. Really, my personal day is spent more on partnerships and the community. And I'm around town, I'm around the state, and just figuring out how we can create more partnerships and just do more in the state of Utah. Finding out where towns are hurting and just seeing if there's some way that Black Desert can help or if Reef can help. And, that's obviously a very fulfilling, rewarding day.
Yeah. Do you get to golf very much?
I'll take it up again. I quit about 15 years ago, and I get shamed every single day that I'm not golfing Black Desert, but I'm having fun doing other things.
Yeah. I imagine it's like probably hard to even squeeze that in, given everything that you're working on, which is super cool and crazy. When you drive around the state and you visit, these various cities and these various leaders, and you kind of see the challenges, see what's working, see what isn't, what do you think about like the future of Utah? Like as you meet with all of these people, because you've driven all over this state.
Mm-hmm. The future of Utah is very bright. I mean, we're like doing so good. Our economy, I really do think one of the biggest challenges that we have is we are heavy in the service sector, and we're not heavy in attainable housing. Mm-hmm. And as much as that's a buzzword, I'm not a politician, but I do know that we need attainable housing. And I believe that there's a few of us that 100% know how to fix it. Yeah. And so we're rallying and getting the right people together and try to maybe introduce some new legislation that can fix it, not just down our way, but statewide. Yeah.
What do you think? Like when people hear that, half the state is like, of course we need that. Like we're growing so fast. This is crazy. Like let's and then there's this other half, which I'm sure you've met as well, which is like, let's actually stop the growth. Yeah. Everybody stop what they're doing right now. And let's try to reverse it. which isn't actually possible, but you can understand if you've lived here your whole life why you might have that reaction. That is the interesting thing, I think, for our leaders. How do you think you solve that particular?
Well, what you just outlined is something you can't solve.
Yeah.
You can't solve. Everybody agrees.
Yeah.
Right. The people that truly understand, and I don't mean any disrespect to anybody that doesn't fit into this box, but the people that understand a city's or a state's economy understands that it has to grow. It can't stop. And you just have to do it as responsibly as you can. And I think there's some good politicians in the state that understand that. That could be pro-growth, but let's grow it in the right places and the right ways with the right industries. And I think just planning. I think the mistake that can be made by municipalities or state or otherwise is that they are reactive to, a developer's request instead of kind of more planning what this town wants to be or what the city wants to be, and then invite developers to come in and participate in that vision.
There are other kind of big developments happening here in the state. Are you engaged in any, like I know that there's one happening, I think in Salem. There's other these kind of really interesting resort type of things. I don't think Salem will be anywhere near what Black Desert is, but what do you think about that? How that must be pretty validating to even just see that happening.
Oh, sure. I mean, the thing about Utah is there's room. I mean, that's, again, no competitors in my mind.
Yeah.
But I think it's great. There's room for different types of experiences. Black Desert's trying to be more of an international destination to come enjoy. There's 6 million people a year coming to the state national parks around us, and there's no actual resort there.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to be an international destination, but there's also places that, the wealthy go and it's very exclusive. And then there's other places where it's very, very affordable. And you need all of those things for Utah to thrive long-term and be sustainable.
Yeah. At what point in your career did you realize, hey, I'm going to be okay? How you that feeling when you're an entrepreneur, you're am I doing the right thing? Am I doing the right thing? At what point were you all right, I can breathe a little bit here. I kind of have my feet underneath me. I understand what I'm doing.
So that's an interesting question because I'm 52 years old. I would say somewhere around 35. It wasn't a financial security thing, because I am the epitome of what, if you look up a definition of developer, it's you let it all ride.
Yeah.
And I mean, if something happened to Black Desert, I'm crushed. I'm done.
Yeah.
Right.
So, that's awesome.
But at around 35, I realized that I can have a development fail and I'll still have a roof over my family's head, and we'll have food and we'll make it.
Yeah.
And so let's just keep going big. And now I don't want to be cavalier. We are doing it really responsibly. We only borrowed 15% of our cost to build this. But I think it was then when I realized that this is not, on my deathbed, I'm not going to worry about, whether a particular project failed or exceeded or succeeded. It's really going to be about the relationships that were made and how my family thrived and our friendships. And those things are, it was around 35 that I was that's what's most important. The rest of this is fun.
Yeah, that's incredible. Well, we're lucky to have you. We're lucky to have Black Desert in the state of Utah. It's really incredible. And you've been an incredible supporter of Silicon Slopes, which we can't thank you enough for. And you've been so instrumental in our success, the tech community success, all of that. So thank you for what you're doing for the state of Utah. And man, I can't wait for the PGA Tour to come.
Yeah, I just want to let you know, we just got word that Ticketmaster is going to go. We'll be going live with tickets on sale for the PGA sometime at the end of July. But anybody who gets on blackdesertevents.com and pre-registers will have a 10-day window before the public gets a shot at it to get your tickets. So if you're planning on coming to the PGA Tour, now's a good time to pre-register.
Yeah, blackdesertevents.com. This audience has heard me say that a million times.
Okay.
So, blackdesertevents.com. Everybody check it out. Patrick, thank you so much, man.
My pleasure, Clint.
Great to see you.
Yep.